I'm Sean Cole. This is the Simpit, and one of the greatest showcases of sim racing for sim racers and open to the public is Sim Expo. This exposition happens each year. In more recent years, it's happened at Norris Ring in conjunction with the Retro Classic Bavaria Car Show in Germany. In recent years, our European coverage has been very well handled by Amir Assad, but he was unable to attend the show this year. Luckily, crew member Sven Laebe was able to go and got us some great footage of some of the coolest gear on Earth. In this coverage, you can see just how far and how fast sim racing is advancing and the fine line between what would be considered racing gear and sim racing gear. Heck, our stuff is actually nicer than theirs now. The Sim Expo is broken into two different halls at this show. One hall being completely dedicated to esport, where all of the competition will take place. The other hall is dedicated to sim racing gear for the most part, and it is lined with booths from some of the biggest names in sim racing all the way to some more obscure, smaller companies trying to make a name for themselves in this industry. You had Logitech there with a nice showcase of their sim racing lineup in a glass case. Okay, that's cool. You had the oddball stuff, like the coffee racer, a full sim rig that converts into a cabinet-style piece of furniture. Okay, that's interesting. And then you even had the full-size cars sitting in booths, attracting the eyes of petrol heads like ourselves, including the Fordzilla Sonic Simulator with monitors way, way too far away. Someone call the FOV police. But then came the steering wheels. Ah yes, the steering wheels. Wheels upon wheels upon wheels, with every company showcasing their best efforts. With some being ones we've seen before, and others that aren't even being shown on the company's websites yet. Some of them came on direct drive bases, and others were displayed like jewelry at a high-end store. Fanatec, being on their home turf of Germany, had a wall of wheels showing off the depth of the club sport lineup. Also on their home turf was Bavarian Simtech. I had not seen them much before, but they had the Omega 1 wheel. It is a super high-tech monocoque design, and they brag to be one of the lightest wheels on the market. I also spy on the back of these 6, yes count them, 6 paddles or levers. Coming over from the Netherlands was Eau Rouge. I've seen some of their wheels before, like the one seen on their website today, but this was an all-new wheel with no name or price to be seen. It is an elegant wheel with a very large display that almost seems as though it is the backbone of the wheel. This is a design I have never seen before, and a completely different approach to the sim racing steering wheel. Traveling from Italy was Cube Controls. Displayed on the wall were a few wheels that we know of from them that are some of the nicest available. But it was their new affiliation and the sim wheels built with the AMG branding that was very impressive and brand new. 3 different models to choose from. None of these have names or prices associated with them, but they might fall into that category of, if you have to ask, then it's too much for you. The new Chinese manufacturers of SimMagic and Moza both made it to Germany as well, each showing off their impressive variety of gear that has changed the direct drive wheel market in recent years. By comparison, they did have understated displays compared to others. There were companies that we know, and we've shown them on the show before, like Gomez Sim Industries, aka GSI from Dallas, Texas, all the way there to Germany to feature their lineup of customizable Formula Elite wheels. And yes, I think I see one of the new GT Maxes back there in the background as well. But one of the biggest travelers of them all to attend the show was Simcore, who came all the way from down under, as the Australian brand was there with their selection of wheels, like their standard model, as well as the Indy 19 Formula style wheel, in addition to the super cool looking dash with lights that they sell. I have to say that as a guy who sees a lot of gear each year, even I was blown away by the quality and the selection of the steering wheels that were there on the show. And again, it just shows you how far our hobby has really advanced. But it didn't end with just the steering wheels. We had pedal sets upon pedal sets upon pedal sets, and they are getting nicer than ever as well. Coming in from Budapest, Hungary, you had Simtrax. And what a cool story it is behind this company and these pedals. It is a labor of love of the Circuti family, a love for racing, and a successful career by the father Joseph, And following in the scale footstep of his father, it was the son Gaber who went on to a successful career in RC racing. Well, that team went on to create the Pro Pedal GT. If looks could kill, these are some of my favorite looking pedals that I've ever seen, and they are on display at Sim Expo. Venom was there across the border from France, another company built on real-life racing passion turned sim racing. They had their Atrax 3 pedals, which are amazing and can even be made in several different flags of nation colors. Then they had their Black Widow carbon model. I always brag about sim components being made of all metal. Now we need a new bragging term of made of almost all carbon. Perhaps the most anticipated piece of gear at the show came from Finland in the name of SimuCube. The Sim Racing Expo was the first time that most of the world got a chance to see this new pedal, and some lucky drivers even got to test them out. Coming in at nearly €2,400 a pedal, it has not only opened the ceiling of what a pedal set can cost, but also is the most revolutionary product of 2022. We also had a few companies with an entire lineup of products to see. Asetek, who's come onto the sim racing market in a big way, had their authentic Pagani pedal set to look at in awe. The Danish company also had the Invicta and the Forte models of wheelbases and wheel rims to put your grubby hands on. They also had the amazing looking Invicta pedal set with the add-on clutch pedal, all set in a cool booth with a couple of cars they have sponsored. One of the most impressive booths at the show, and maybe the biggest surprise to me, was the transformation of the company Track Racer. While you might think of them as a rig or a sim chassis company, well, not anymore. Sure, they had their awesome new Alpine TRX next to an Alpine F1 car, but what blew me away was the line of wheels, pedals, shifters, and handbrakes, all branded for the Australian company and still not even seen on their website yet. Yes, Track Racer is getting deeper into sim racing indeed. And then finally, and again, a very impressive booth at the show was Get Closer Racing from right there in Germany. They are a one-stop shop for all things sim racing. They are a distributor of the Raceworks pedals, which I think are some of the most state-of-the-art pedals available. They also make their own pedals, which are somehow even more high-tech. These going by their production name, Sim Switch, and they can be adjusted on the fly. They also provide handbrakes that remind me of the BMX era with all of their colors available. And then to finish things off is the Sim Switch Sim Racing chassis. They are gorgeous and innovative sim chassis with some very high-end features built into them. Yes, Get Closer Racing is very impressive, and one could spend a lot of money at their shop. This year's Sim Racing Expo was very impressive, and I think it clearly shows that that line between automotive racing and sim racing is really getting blurrier, or they're getting closer together. You see more affiliations between real-life automakers and sim racing companies, and you got to think, maybe they see that we make nicer steering wheels than they do, and we're using real automotive grade components, so why not share those efforts? It is also a great place for commingling, where you've got the tried and true companies like Track Racer, like Logitech, Fanatec, sitting in the same place as some smaller companies like Simtrex, and they get the same floor and the same attention from the sim racing public, and it's a place where they can meet each other face to face, shake hands, share knowledge, share experiences and wisdom, and we, the sim racers, can do it along with them as well. I just wish it wasn't so far from my homeland, where I could actually be in attendance and have such a great time as well. So I do want to thank Sven Laebe for going to the show and getting us this great footage. Otherwise, we would have nothing. I'm a little late on getting this show done, but it was sort of a recap of some of the nicest gear that you could see, and you don't always get to see it up close and personal like we did here today. I'd like to invite you to come on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific time for the Pit Stop. That's at Simpit Live on Twitch, where every Friday we talk about sim racing and everything going on in our favorite hobby. Be sure to thumbs up this show if you like what we did. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. And thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.